In this tutorial video, I'll be showing you how to transfer your reference image to your support paper. As mentioned in the intro, on this video, this is the first of a series of videos for a full tutorial where I show how to draw this black German Shepherd from start to finish using colour pencils. Breaking it down into chunks, this part of the video series, part 1, shows how I transfer the image, the reference, over onto my support. So first thing to do is to print your image to your desired finish size. So in this case it's A3 or 12 by 16 inch. I adjusted the reference, cropped into it on the reference photo so that it would fit the support in the most optimum size possible. You can, if you want, create an actual separate line drawing first of all, either using an editing package, or you can literally just print the image itself and use that, and then you can see which lines exactly you are following. Now, if you want to use a transfer paper between your reference image and your support, you are more than fine to do that. In fact, I recommend sort of if you're going to use this shade of pastel matte, Clairefontaine pastel matte in this case, is a purple shade. You could use a graphite transfer paper between your reference image and your support and transfer your image onto your support using that transfer paper. In this case, I've decided not to use the transfer paper. I am simply using a stylus, and with quite a firm pressure I am impressing my line drawing, my image directly onto my support. So at the end of this there will be, if you use this method, you will see basically an indentation of all of these lines on my pastel matte. It works fine if you've got a support that's got a bit of weight to it, a bit of tooth that you can impress into. If it's quite a lightweight paper, you will struggle to get that impression. The softer, heavier the paper, the more deeper the impression will be. So it's simply a case of taping your image to your support. I just tape it along the top edge, and that way I can keep flicking the reference image up as I go along to ensure that my lines are coming through heavy enough for me to see. This is especially important if you are using graphite paper or transfer paper. Make sure you leave the bottom edge free, not only of your reference image but also of the transfer paper, and that way you can keep flicking it up to make sure you're getting a good even pressure right across the reference as you transfer your lines across. So specifically for this German Shepherd, I'm putting in sort of most of my main shapes, fur directions, outline. As you see here, I sort of mark in my line, not with one solid heavy line, but with several short dashed lines. This stops giving that real hard edge to any lines that you put down. Just a little tip there. So basically, yeah, I just go through the whole drawing like this, just mapping in most of my lines. Now, a lot of these lines will disappear, especially if I was going to use watercolour pencils. As soon as I add the water, they all vanish anyway, so then the next stage is to put them all back in again. So with this, you just want to get as few or as many in as you want. If you want to put in tons of detail, that is fine. Using this indentation method as well, it is good because it means then you can rub a pencil over those lines, a little bit like when we used to do like brass rubbings when you're younger. So you sort of like put a piece of paper over the brass rubbing, the indentations, the engraving, and you'll get your lines coming through. So just working top to bottom and picking out the shapes, especially down at the left hand side and the bottom. There's not a lot of marks actually on the reference photo itself. It's just to give a little hint of where the mane is, but most of that is going to go in when we actually start to build pencil work later on. These are just guidelines. I'll put in a bit more detail. Obviously I want the eyes spot on in place, the nose in place. Shape of that mouth is quite tricky, so I want to get a key lines of that in place as well. Like I say, it's a personal preference as to how much you put in or how little. Because this is a tutorial, I will most likely put in a little bit more than I would normally for one of my own portraits. That's because I'm trying to get it a little bit more accurate to demonstrate to you guys. So I'll carry on now. I'll drop out the voiceover until right at the end, because this is simply sort of, as I've explained, working top to bottom, using that tool. Oh, by the way, the tool, you can buy a stylus or an engraving tool. This is simply it's a nail art tool. So if you go online on eBay or anywhere like that, pop in nail art tool or nail art dotting tool, and rather than being charged sort of £5–6 for one stylus, you get a pack of 5 of these for probably £1.50, £2, so very cheap, all different sizes. You get sort of 10 different sized nibs on the ends of 5 styluses for that money. So again, another little tip. So I'll drop out now and I'll pop back in towards the end of the video. Okay, so dropping back in here, close to the end of the video now. As you see, we just continue to work top to bottom, popping in the lines. Here at the bottom, there's not that much detail at all, so literally rough capture of that outer edge, a few of the little marks of the main, just a few key points that I can refer to when I start to pop the pencils down. Right at the end, I'll flick up and I'll just look at my printout as well, just to see, because you can feel, a bit like Braille, you can feel where you've missed an area. And also you can just see if you reflect it in the light, bend the image in the light, you can see if you've missed out any places that you want to add some more lines in. And then of course flick it up and over, leave it hinged onto your paper, your support at the top, so then if you need to drop it back down again, you haven't moved it out of place, just keep it taped in place for now. Flick it back up, and then the next thing I'll do is, because I haven't used a transfer paper, I'll go in with a warm grey 2 or 3 pencil, and I'll just map in some of those lines a little bit more detail. That mainly, though, I'm doing that because this is a tutorial and I need those lines to show up for you guys on the video. You don't have to do that, but if you feel like you want those lines to be a bit more visible, then either use the transfer paper from the start, or once you've got these lines down, go in with a pencil, a grey pencil, and just pop those back in. So here you see, I'm just flicking it up, just checking it all, and then the next couple of images will just show you the finished as it looks once I've added the pencil. There you go, I'm adding the grey pencil, and right at the end with a pencil added. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this part of the video, and the full tutorial series will be up on my Patreon very soon.